Why was Monk's Mound built so massive? Why was Monk's Mound built so massive? That question has puzzled people for a very long time. When you first see it, your brain almost refuses to accept what your eyes are telling you. This thing is not a hill. It is not a natural rise in the land. It is a human-made structure, built by hand, basket by basket, centuries before machines, before steel tools, before written history in North America. And yet, it is bigger than many pyramids people travel across the world to see. Picture this. You are standing in the wide flatlands near the Mississippi River, in what is now Illinois. The ground stretches out calmly, almost boring, and then suddenly, rising from the earth, is Monk's Mound. Massive, silent, watching. It feels out of place, like something from a lost world that somehow survived while everything else disappeared. So why did the people of Cahokia build something this enormous? To understand that, we need to step back into a time when this place was not quiet grass and tourists, but one of the largest cities on Earth. Around 1,000 years ago, Cahokia was alive. Not a small village, not a tribe hiding in the woods, but a real city. Tens of thousands of people lived here. Houses packed close together, smoke rising from fires, children running. Traders arriving with goods from far away, shells from the Gulf, copper from the Great Lakes. This was a center of power. And at the heart of it all stood Monk's Mound. This mound was not built in one rush. It grew over generations, each layer added by people who believed what they were doing mattered deeply. They carried soil in baskets on their backs, no wheels, no animals pulling loads. Just human strength and belief. The fact that they kept going tells us something powerful. This mound was not just a building project. It was sacred. One strong idea is that Monk's Mound was built to show power. When you build something so big that it dominates the land, you are sending a message. From far away, people could see it. Travelers approaching Cahokia would know immediately who was in charge here. This was not a place to ignore. At the top of the mound was likely a large wooden building. Many believe it was the home or temple of the ruler, someone who was both a political leader and a spiritual figure. Imagine standing on top, looking down at the city, the fields, the river. You are literally above everyone else. That matters. Height has always been linked to power. But power alone does not explain the size. The people of Cahokia believed the world was layered, the sky above, the earth in the middle, and the underworld below. Monk's Mound may have been built as a bridge between these worlds. By building upward, they were reaching toward the sky. By anchoring it deep into the ground, they were connecting to the underworld. The ruler on top stood at the center of the universe, at least in their belief. There is also evidence that the mound was carefully aligned. The city itself was planned. This was not random. Certain mounds line up with the sun during key times of the year. This tells us the people understood astronomy. Monk's Mound may have been part of the system, marking seasons, rituals, and important dates. If you control the calendar, you control farming, food, and survival. And then there is the social side. Building something this big requires organization. Leaders had to plan, workers had to obey, food had to be shared, time had to be managed. Monk's Mound was not just a structure, it was a tool to hold society together. Everyone taking part would feel connected to something larger than themselves. But here is the darker question. Why did they stop? Cahokia did not last forever. Around the 1300, the city began to decline. People left, the fires went out, the houses fell apart, and Monk's Mound was abandoned. Some think the mound itself may have played a role in the collapse. Building it required massive changes to the land. Trees were cut, soil was moved, flood patterns may have changed. Over time, this could have damaged farming. Others believe the city grew too fast. Too many people, too much stress, not enough food. There may have been political conflict too. When power is centered so strongly in one place, problems can explode. If people lost faith in their leaders or their gods, the system could break. What makes Monk's Mound even more mysterious is that the people who built it left no written records. Everything we know comes from soil, wood remains, and careful digging. This silence makes the mound feel alive in a strange way, like it is holding secrets it refuses to give up. Fast forward to today. Monk's Mound still stands, but it is fragile. Rain causes erosion. Parts of the mound have had to be repaired to keep it from collapsing. One negative is that modern weather and foot traffic slowly damage it. Another negative is that many people still do not know this place exists. It does not get the respect it deserves compared to famous sites in other parts of the world. But there are positives. One negative is that modern weather and foot traffic slowly damage it. Another negative is that many people still do not know this place exists. It does not get the respect it deserves compared to famous sites in other parts of the world, long before European contact. In my opinion, Monk's Mound was built so massive because it had to be. It was the heart of a belief system, a political machine, and a social bond all at once. Making it smaller would have weakened its meaning. Size was the message. Today, the site is calm. Grass covers the mound. Birds fly overhead. Tourists walk quietly, often surprised by what they are seeing. The city is gone, but the mound remains, still rising from the earth, still asking the same question it has asked for 1,000 years. How did humans, with no machines, build something so big, and why did they believe it was worth everything? Right now, Monk's Mound stands as both a warning and a reminder. A warning about how powerful societies can rise and fall, and a reminder that long before modern cities, people here dreamed big, believed deeply, and built something meant to touch the sky. The purpose of Woodhenge. The purpose of Woodhenge is one of those mysteries that sounds simple at first, but the deeper you go, the stranger it gets. At first glance, it is just a circle, a wide open field, nothing tall standing there anymore. No walls, no stones, no towers, and yet this empty space once held something powerful enough to organize an entire city's life around it. So let me pull you into this mystery, the same way most people fall into it. Imagine standing near Cahokia 1,000 years ago, just before sunrise. The air is cold, people are quiet, everyone is facing the same direction. And then, slowly, the sun rises and lines up perfectly with a tall wooden post in the distance. Right at that moment, the crowd knows something important. A season has changed. A ceremony must begin. Life moves forward. That place was Woodhenge. Woodhenge was not one structure, but several circles built over time. Large wooden posts were placed in the ground in a perfect circle. Some circles had about 24 posts, others more than 48. Each post is carefully positioned. This was not decoration. This was knowledge carved into the land. The main purpose of Woodhenge was time. The people of Cahokia depended on farming. Corn, beans, squash. Plant too early and you lose everything. Plant too late and you starve. Woodhenge worked like a giant calendar. When the sun rose in line with certain posts, it marked key moments of the year. Spring, summer, fall, winter. This means the year. Builders understood the sun's movement across the sky. They watched it for generations. They tracked it. They remembered. That kind of knowledge does not come from guessing. It comes from careful observation and teaching. But Woodhenge was more than a calendar. It was also deeply religious. To the people of Cahokia, the sun was not just a light in the sky. It was a powerful force, a living presence. The rising sun brought life, warmth, growth. When the sun lined up with the posts, it was not just science. It was a sign, a message from the spiritual world. Ceremonies likely took place at Woodhenge. Leaders may have stood in special positions while the sun rose behind them, making it look like they were glowing or connected to the sky. This would have been incredibly powerful for the people watching. It reinforced the idea that their leaders were chosen, guided, or protected by higher forces. This brings us to another purpose: control. If you control the calendar, you control food. If you control food, you control people. Woodhenge allowed leaders to decide when planting began, when festivals happened, when rituals were performed. That gave them authority. People trusted those who could read the sun. Over time, that trust turned into power. But here is something important. Woodhenge was rebuilt several times. When posts rotted, they were replaced. When the circle shifted, a new one was built nearby. This tells us the site remained important for centuries. Even as Puri, leaders changed. Even as the city grew, Woodhenge stayed central. There is also a strong connection between Woodhenge and Monk's Mound. When the sun rose on certain days, it lined up not just with posts, but with the massive mound itself. This was not an accident. It linked political power, religious belief, and cosmic order into one system. Everything pointed back to the center of the city. Now let's talk about the mystery part. None of the wooden posts survived. Wood decays. What we know comes from dark circles in the soil where posts once stood. Archaeologists had to piece together the patterns slowly, carefully. That alone tells you how close we are to losing this history forever. Another mystery is how much the average person understood. Did everyone know the full meaning of Woodhenge, or was that knowledge kept secret among priests and elites? We do not know, but in many societies, special knowledge equals special power. There are negatives to this story too. Building and maintaining Woodhenge required labor. Trees had to be cut, land cleared. Over time, this may have added pressure on the environment. When combined with massive projects like Monk's Mound, the strain on resources could have been heavy. There is also the possibility that Woodhenge became a symbol of control rather than unity. If people began to feel the rituals no longer matched reality, if crops failed or floods came, the trust in leaders could collapse. When belief systems break, societies can fall. Apart quickly. And that may be part of what happened. By the 1300, Cahokia declined. Woodhenge stopped being used. The posts were no longer replaced. Ceremonies ended. The sun still rose, but no one stood waiting to mark it. Today, the site of Woodhenge is quiet. What stands there now are reconstructions, tall wooden posts placed to show where the originals once stood. This is both a positive and a negative. The positive is that visitors can finally see the shape, feel the scale, and understand how it worked. The negative is that some people think the posts are original when they are not. The real Woodhenge exists only in the soil and in memory. Another positive is growing respect. More people are learning that advanced science, planning, and belief systems existed here long before modern America. A negative is that the site still does not get the attention it deserves. Many visitors come to see Monk's Mound and never realize Woodhenge is just as important. In my opinion, the purpose of Woodhenge was balance. It balanced science and belief, sky and earth, leaders and people. It gave structure to time in a world without clocks. It turned the sun into a guide everyone could trust. But it was also fragile. It depended on belief. Once belief faded, Woodhenge lost its power. That is something we still see today, in different ways. Right now, the present situation of Woodhenge is calm and preserved. The land is protected. The reconstructed posts stand quietly under the sky. They once measured. Visitors walk the circle, often surprised by how simple it looks and how deep its meaning was. Woodhenge no longer tells people when to plant or pray, but it still does something important. It reminds us that long ago, people here looked at the same sun we see today and built an entire way of life around understanding it. And that, to me, is just as powerful as stone pyramids or towering temples anywhere else in the world. Why no defensive walls? Why were there no defensive walls? This is one of the most unsettling mysteries about Cahokia. When people learn how big this city was, how powerful it became, how many people lived here, the first question that usually follows is simple and logical. Where were the walls? No stone barriers, no giant wooden defenses around the entire city. Nothing like what we see in other ancient cities across the world. And that silence is loud. Because in most ancient societies, size brings danger, wealth attracts enemies, power invites challenge. So when you look at Cahokia, a city that may have had more people than London at the same time, sitting right in the open Mississippi Valley, the lack of full defensive walls feels almost impossible. So why did they choose openness over protection? Let's start with how Cahokia saw itself. Cahokia was not built like a city expecting war every day. It was built like a center, a gathering place, a heart. Train routes flowed into it from every direction. Rivers acted like highways. People came to Cahokia more often than they attacked it. Walls would have sent the wrong message. Walls say fear. Walls say separation. Cahokia wanted connection. This city was likely seen as sacred ground. For many native societies, certain places were protected not by walls, but by belief. If Cahokia was viewed as a spiritual center, attacking it may have felt wrong, even dangerous to outsiders. When belief is strong enough, it can act like an invisible shield. People may have believed that harm done here would bring spiritual punishment. That does not mean Cahokia was defenseless. There were wooden palisades built around key areas, especially near Monk's Mound and important plazas. These were tall wooden walls made from massive logs placed deep into the ground. They were rebuilt several times, which tells us they mattered. But these walls were not meant to surround the entire city. They protected leadership, ritual spaces, and symbols of power, not everyday homes. That tells us something important. Cahokia's leaders were protected. The system was protected. But the city itself was open. This suggests the biggest threats were not foreign armies marching in, but internal tension, power struggles, control over food, loyalty to leaders. When a society worries more about internal order and outside attack, walls change purpose. Another key reason may be geography. Cahokia sat in a wide floodplain. Rivers surrounded parts of it. Swamps, wetlands, and seasonal flooding acted as natural defenses. Moving large groups of attackers through this land would not be easy. Locals knew the terrain. Outsiders did not. Sometimes the land itself is the wall. And then there is the role of power projection. Cahokia may not have needed walls because it was too powerful. Smaller communities depended on it for trade, protection, and spiritual guidance. Attacking Cahokia could cut off access to goods, alliances, and meaning. In that situation, fear works better than war on earth. But here is where the mystery deepens. Other large ancient cities with similar power still built walls. So why not here? One theory is that warfare at the time did not look the way we imagine it. Instead of massive invasions, conflict may have been smaller, more ritual-based, or seasonal. Raids, displays of strength, controlled violence. In that kind of world, walls around the entire city may not have been useful or worth the effort. Walls also require constant upkeep, labor, resources, wood, time. Cahokia was already spending huge energy building mounds, plazas, and ritual spaces. Leaders may have chosen to invest in symbols of unity and belief instead of fear and defense. But that choice comes with risk. As Cahokia grew, tensions grew with it. More people means more mouths to feed, more stress on land, more chances for conflict. If trust in leadership weakened, if belief systems cracked, walls would not save the city anyway. When collapse comes from within, walls are useless. And collapse did come. When Cahokia began to decline, there is no sign of a massive battle. No burned layers across the whole city, no piles of weapons. Instead, people slowly left. Houses were abandoned. Rituals stopped. Power faded. That suggests the lack of walls did not lead to sudden destruction. Instead, it reflects how Cahokia ended, not with an invasion, but with a quiet unraveling. Now let's talk about negatives and positives of this choice. The negative is obvious. Without full defensive walls, Cahokia was vulnerable if a large enemy had appeared. The leadership areas were protected, but everyday people were exposed. If violence had escalated suddenly, the city would have struggled to respond. Another negative is symbolic. When times get hard, people want to feel protected. Walls can give psychological comfort. Their absence may have added to fear during the city's final years. But there are positives too. An open city encourages trade, movement, cultural exchange. Cahokia became powerful because it was connected, not closed off. Walls might have limited growth and influence. Openness allowed ideas, goods, and people to flow freely. There is also a deeper positive: confidence. Not building walls can be a statement. It says, "We do not expect attack." That confidence can stabilize a society, at least for a time. It reinforces the idea that order, belief, and leadership are enough. In my opinion, Cahokia did not build massive defensive walls because it believed it did not need them. Power came from belief, control of time and food, and spiritual authority, not military force. That belief worked until it didn't. When trust fades, when resources strain, when the system no longer feels fair, no wall can fix that. Today, the present situation at Cahokia reflects this history. There are no towering walls to see, no dramatic ruins of battle defenses, just open land, mounds rising quietly from the grass, and wide skies above. It feels peaceful now, almost gentle. That openness is still there. The site is protected and studied, which is a positive. But a negative is that many visitors struggle to imagine the scale of what once stood here, especially without walls to frame it. The lack of visible defenses makes the city feel smaller than it was. Still, that openness may be the most honest reminder of Cahokia's story. This was a place built on connection, belief, and shared meaning, not constant war. And while that choice may have made it fragile, it also made it extraordinary. Cahokia did not fall because it lacked walls. It faded because the world it believed in changed. And today, standing there with no barriers around you, you can still feel that ancient confidence lingering in the open air.